Nom 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 nom. Oi.
Hello everyone, my name is Paulina. Welcome to Tikva Hobbies, a channel about knitting and crocheting. And in this video, I'll show you how to knit these cabled mittens. Let me show you what it looks like. I've already finished the first one, the left one. So here it is. Let's start with the yarn. The yarn I'm using is Infinity Design Magic. It's a typical sock yarn fit for 2.5mm needles. This is what the label looks like. Let me focus on it. So 80% merino wool superwash, 20% nylon, 50 grams, 210 meters. This is the color, aubergine. I recommend that you use a similar yarn, preferably sock yarn, as it's predictable. It doesn't usually shrink after washing, and sock yarn is rather durable, and mittens, we can take something in our hands when we use mittens, hold something in them. They need to be durable. Apart from the yarn, we obviously need a pair of knitting needles. I'm using 2.5mm higher steel. It's okay if you use 2.25 or 2.75mm needles if you tend to knit maybe tightly or vice versa loosely. Choose the ones that are good for this type of yarn. If you've knitted socks with such yarn before, it shouldn't be a problem for you. How to figure out the number of stitches to cast on? I suggest that you cast on 101 stitches, joining the round seamlessly, and knit maybe 15-20 rounds of twisted 1x1 ribbon. Then you can take your knitting off the needles and put it on your wrist, to see if the circumference is good enough. So you'll have extra stitches definitely, and you need to figure out how many stitches are extra. You could stretch your knitting a bit, so let me show you how this should fit. So a little bit of stretch, but not much, not like this, definitely. So it should still look nicely. You should create a perfect fit. For me, the number was 68. But don't rush to cast on. First, we need to change this number for the pattern. In my case, 68 could be divided by 2. We get 34 stitches. 34 for the front panel and 34 for the back one. In the central panel, let me show the chart. This could help, probably. Okay, I need to, just a second, make it not as bright. This should be better. Let's put everything else aside. So here is the chart. What I wanted to do for my mitten. First of all, in the central panel, I wanted to put 3 4-stitch cables. That's 12 stitches. 4 by 3, 12. Plus 12 more stitches are purl stitches between the cables and next to them. So this makes 24 total. Then we add 2 mini cables of 2 stitches. That's 28 now, 24 plus 4. And 2 sets of 3 purl stitches on each side. 34. Great. So this part from the cable here to the mini cable in here, this part is 34 stitches. The back side should be a number which could be divided by 5 plus 2. In my case, that's 32 stitches. 30 could be divided by 5, yeah, we get 6, plus 2 stitches, 30 plus 2, 32. So my final number was 34 plus 32 plus 1 stitch to join in the round. So 34 plus 32 plus 1, that's 67. That's the number I need to cast on. If you are knitting a bigger size, you might add another 4 stitch cable to the panel, and instead of 3 make 4. So you add 4 stitches plus, just you add this part, yeah, 4 stitches plus 3 purl stitches. This is 7. You could also add 5 stitches to the back part, so total 12 stitches if you need this. Another adjustment could be to add 1 stitch to all the 3 purl stitch segments. This could increase the whole number significantly. You do you. So either add some more panels to the front part, plus add segments of 5. Why 5? Because it's 3 stitches plus 2 stitches of the mini cable. So this is the minimum number we could add, not to change the pattern. This is it. Here we go. Time to cast on. I'm casting on 67 stitches using the twisted German cast on. I'm not showing it here on the video because this would make it very long. There are lots of tutorials you could find on YouTube. I've checked. You could find it very easily. This cast on is stretchy and it's very neat. Looks perfect for 1x1 ribbing. It's great for socks. We join in the round at the end and get 66 stitches. So we cast on 67. Then we pull the first stitch through the last that we cast on and get 66. This makes the beginning of the round seamless. You can't even basically see it. So cast on and I'll show you what to do next. I've knitted 34 rounds, just a couple of stitches left before the beginning of the round, and before we carry on, let's measure the distance between the wrist and the beginning of the thumb. For me it's 6.5 centimeters. You can approximately see this. 6.5. How many rounds is it? So we've knitted 34 rounds of ribbon, and that's 7.5 centimeters. That means 4.43 rounds in 1 centimeter. So we divide the number of the rounds by the number of centimeters and get the gauge. We need to multiply 4.53 rounds by 6.5 and get that this is approximately 30 rounds. That's approximate number of the rounds we need to fit our thumb gusset increases in the project. For my thumb I need 19 stitches total, plus 3 stitches I'll get later. In here I'll pick 3 more stitches. That's 22 stitches. Again, you can find out this number by casting on, for example, 22 stitches in the round and purling about like 10 rounds. Put the knitting on the thumb and make sure it's neither loose nor too tight on your thumb and fits your thumb perfectly. Originally, I'll have 3 purl stitches at the start of the round. Yeah, when I worked the left mitten, I had 3 stitches here. And then I needed to add 16 more stitches to get 19 total in here. This is 8 increases because we add 2 stitches per round. 8 increases, we get 16 more stitches, 3 plus 16, that's 19. And we need to work these 8 increases over 30 rounds. This means you can do the increases every 4th round or every 3rd round like I did, and then knit straight on without any increases later. So, the first round of the pattern is only knit and purl stitches without any increases. For the left mitten, we start with the purl stitches, 3 purl stitches, knit 2, purl 3, and so on here as the chart shows. And then we need to work purl 3, knit 2, purl 3 up to the end of the round. And that's for the left mitten. For the right one, which we are going to do now together, we do it slightly differently. So the thumb gusset here, we start with it, but in here we need to finish with it. So we start here and finish our round with the thumb gusset stitches. So it's a little bit different. First we work the stitches of the palm, then we work the front panel, and finally the thumb gusset. So first we work for the right mitten. First we work knit 2, purl 3 6 times and knit 2. So knit 2, purl 3 and repeat it 6 times, that's 30 stitches, and then knit 2, 32, the stitches of our palm. Then we move on and do it as it shows here in the chart. Purl 3, knit 2, purl 3, knit 4, purl 3, knit 4, and so on. At the end of the round we have 3 purl stitches. In the second round we start right leaning cables, mini cables, which consist of only 2 stitches. In the left mitten we do the left leaning cables. In the right one we've got the right leaning cables. Between those cables we have 3 purl stitches. Let me show you. Just a second. We need to add a bit more focus. Here we go. So we finish. So one more crossed knit stitch and we finish the 34th round. So for the right mitten we need to first work the stitches of the palm. Knit 2, purl 3 6 times. So now we don't need to cross them, so we walk through the front loop. 1, 2, knit 2, purl 3, 1, just a second. Oh, it's not very convenient to do it on camera. One moment. So just a sec. Focus, please. So knit 2, purl 3, 1. It's a purl stitch. 2 and 3, purl 3. Knit 2. Purl 3, 1, 2, 3. Knit 2, purl 3. So we work the first 32 stitches, which are the stitches of the palm. You work your number of stitches, which we figured out before, yes? The stitches of the palm you need. So keep on, I'll show you the end of the round and how to do the increases later. So I've finished the first round of the pattern for the right mitten, and we finished with 3 purl stitches. In the second round we start the right linen cables. So let me show you briefly how to do them. Just a moment, we need more focus, please. Here we are. So the first 2 stitches are knit stitches, and we need to make the cable, and it should lean to the right. So first we need to knit the second stitch, this one, and only then the first. For this type of knitting I don't usually use any knitting cable. I typically do it by hand. It's easier to make the left-leaning cables. Actually, you could do the left-leaning cables for both the left and the right mittens, but I prefer them to be symmetrical, and we need to make the second stitch first. So I just hold it with my fingers, knit the second stitch, pick the first one, put it onto the needle and knit it. Just a second, let's make sure it's not turned. No, it's not turned. And here it is. 3 purl stitches, 1, just a moment, so 1, 2, 3, and one more time. It's not turned because I'm turning it right now. So hold it, knit the second stitch, and put the first one back onto the needle and knit it. Knit it too. So I split the stitch a bit, but when I do it off camera it's much easier. So we repeat this over the first 32 stitches, and then we follow the pattern. So the first stitches are 3 purl stitches, then we have this mini cable, and when we get to this part I'll show you how to do it. So now we've come to the first 4-stitch cable. It's a simplified version, so it's easier than crossing 4 stitches or 2 by 2. So we do it the following way. It looks, by the way, well, let me show you what it looks like. These are front 3 cables. What we do them like? Let me show you. Focus, please. So here I've got 4 knit stitches. 4 of them here. What we need to do, and we need to do it rather tightly, because if we make it loosely there will be a little hole in here and it doesn't look good. We insert the needle between the 4 stitches and the next purl stitch and add a stitch. Pull it here, hold it a little bit, put it on the needle, on the left needle, like this, make it rather tight, and knit it, this stitch. So, like this. We knit it tight, and next we knit 2 more stitches, 1 and 2. And as we have added a stitch, we need to decrease a stitch, so we don't need to make 5 stitches out of 4. So we knit 2 together. And here it is. That's what it looks like. It looks a bit like a cable. It's a simplified version. Next we purl 3. And we repeat it all over again. 4 stitches, make 1 here. Well, you don't need even to put it onto the needle. I could do it as it is, but it's easier if you put it on the needle, and do it rather tight. You don't want to make a hole. So then you need 2 stitches and knit 2 together to decrease the extra stitch. We repeat it once more, purl 3, and repeat the seam. Just a moment. Here, then we purl 3, make the mini cable, the right leaning one, and I'll show you the increases, sorry. Now we've come to the thumb gusset. We have 3 purl stitches and we need to make 5 out of them. So there are 2 increases. This number shows the number of stitches we get after the increases. So we had 3 stitches, we get 5. Next we get 7, and so on. So look here. You could make 2 stitches using your preferred method. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, it should look nice and there shouldn't be any holes. What I'm going to do is to leave 1 purl stitch on each side and do the increases next to the middle stitch. Then when we get 5 stitches, again we purl 1, make the increase, purl the stitches, and increase before the last purl stitch. So let me show you. We purled 1. Now we need to make the increase. You could just pick this thread between the stitches, put it on the needle, and purl it. This is fine. You could do like this. I prefer a different method. I pick the thread. Just a second. It's not very convenient on camera. So, especially when the yarn is so fine. So I pick the previous stitch, of the previous round, and put it on the needle, and I want to purl it through the back loop. So make it look as if it goes from here and in the opposite direction, left and right. So I'll need to purl it through the back loop of the stitch, like this. And here is 1 stitch. Next just a moment, I purl 1, focus please, purl 1. Here I also pick the stitch of the thread of the stitch of the previous round. Here, this one, put it onto the loop, on the stitch, sorry, and it's easier. I purl it through the front loop, and next I purl the stitch itself. So we get 5 stitches out of 3. So this is how we do the increases, and we need to make them every 3rd round. Here in the following 2 rounds we just make purl stitches, increase, purl stitches, and we do it at the end of the round for the right stitch, or sorry, for the right mitten, and at the start of the round for the left one. This is the only difference. For the big cables we repeat the thing we've just done in the 2nd round, repeat it in round 8, then in round 14, and so on. And keep working until we get 19 stitches of the gusset. For me this is round 23, but for my thumb gusset, for this part, I needed 34 rounds actually. So I kept on knitting straight after round 24 to round 34, just following the pattern, crossing the stitches here, doing the cables, but purling the thumb gusset stitches straight for a few rounds, and to be exact 10 rounds in particular. So when we get the number of the stitches, we knit until we can separate the thumb. I'll show you how to do it in the next part of the video. Good luck! I'm on round 30 now of the main pattern, and it's time to put the stitches onto a separate, onto the stitch markers, separate the thumb gusset, and keep on knitting only the stitches of this part, yeah? So you can see, oops, sorry for the sound of the needles, it's time to separate in here. So how we do it? It's pretty simple. Let me show you. Here are the stitches of the thumb gusset. And first I need to put them onto a separate needle, or I'm going to use these pins. Focus, please. Just put the stitches onto the pin, the 19 stitches. Oops, 3, 4, 5, 7. I'll use a couple more. We don't need the stitch marker anymore. The beginning of the round is pretty visible now. Actually, as soon as we started the thumb gusset, it was easy to see. Oh, what is it? Looks like I need to fix this moment. Something's wrong with the stitch. So I've separated the stitches of the thumb gusset, the purl stitches. Focus, please. What we need to do now? We need to cast on 3 stitches, which are going to be the purl stitches, so we don't ruin our pattern. You can cast on however you like. You could do it like this, but it spends too much yarn. I prefer doing it differently. So just a moment. I just twist the yarn 3 times around the needle, 3, and pull it tight so there is as little thread spent as possible. Next we've got the mini cable. Focus, please, focus. Camera focus. So we just need them in this round. Pull tight. Yeah, you need to pull it tight. Maybe hold the stitches with your finger, with your index finger. Purl. Oops. So you're ready to continue. Next round you just purl the stitches like this. Yeah, you purl them and keep on knitting. Let me show you the left one. So this is where we separated the 3 stitches. We purl them, keep on knitting. So you can see we finish this element. 1, 2, do the cable, and then we do the ribbon. I have like 2 centimeters of ribbon. How many rounds is it? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 rounds, as I can see. I'll show you how I cast off the stitches. You see, it's not just pulling one stitch through the other. No, it's a bit different. I use a needle and it looks very much like the start of the round. I use German twisted cast on. It's a little bit different than a long tail and looks a little bit different, but still this finish matches it better than pulling the stitches through each other or using tubular cast off. So this is a better option. I'm sort of thinking now that it would be nice even to put one more of this pattern, because to make it straight I need to pull the mitten a bit. Or another option would be to make the thumb gusset here and move the pattern a little bit to the left and center it probably even better. I'll try it in the next pair. You could try now if you haven't started yet. I hope you are a person who watches the video to the end before you start working. So work until you need to cast off the stitches. I'll show you how I do it. Time to cast off. I'm halfway through. I've worked 7 rounds of twisted ribbon, and I'm going to show you how to finish using a needle. Yeah, the tail is approximately 1/2 meter. It's better to make it longer than shorter. So first you insert the needle into the second stitch as if to knit, so as if you want to knit it. Pull it. Then into the first as if you want to purl it, back to front. Make sure the thread goes over this one, over this, what do you call it? Oh, thread, yeah. Okay, the tail goes above the thread, let's put it like this. You stretch it a little bit horizontally, then you pull the tail. Now we repeat. Into the second as if to knit, into the first as if to purl, remove the stitch, pull horizontally, pull the thread. Keep on like this, and in the end, at the end of the round, you do the following. You insert the stitch, the needle into the first stitch that you dropped, that you removed from the needle as if to knit, through your final stitch as if to purl, and then you weave in the tail. You might do another type of casting off, depends on your preferences. I like that this one matches the start a little bit, it's at least the closest I could get. Then we pick the stitches of the thumb, pick 3 more stitches in here, maybe add a few on each side. We're going to decrease them, I'll show you in a moment. Time to cast off. I'm halfway through. I've worked 7 rounds of twisted ribbon, and I'm going to show you how to finish using a needle. Yeah, the tail is approximately 1/2 meter. It's better to make it longer than shorter. So first you insert the needle into the second stitch as if to knit, so as if you want to knit it. Pull it. Then into the first as if you want to purl it, back to front. Make sure the thread goes over this one, over this, what do you call it? Oh, thread, yeah. Okay, the tail goes above the thread, let's put it like this. You stretch it a little bit horizontally, then you pull the tail. Now we repeat. Into the second as if to knit, into the first as if to purl, remove the stitch, pull horizontally, pull the thread. Keep on like this, and in the end, at the end of the round, you do the following. You insert the stitch, the needle into the first stitch that you dropped, that you removed from the needle as if to knit, through your final stitch as if to purl, and then you weave in the tail. You might do another type of casting off, depends on your preferences. I like that this one matches the stud a little bit, it's at least the closest I could get. Then we pick the stitches of the thumb, pick 3 more stitches in here, maybe add a few on each side. We're going to decrease them, I'll show you in a moment. Time for working on the thumb, and this is time of the experiments. First, we pick up the 19 stitches, and here we need to pick 3 more stitches, but if we pick only these 3 stitches, we'll get holes, a hole here and a hole there. We need to avoid them. So you need to pick maybe 1 or 2 stitches on each side to avoid the holes. It's a little bit difficult on camera, but anyway, I'll try to show you. For example, you can pick this stitch of the previous round. What else could we do? We could, if we pick just this one, you see there is a hole. What if we do the following? For example, pick like this and like this. So if we make a stitch, it should be fine. At least I hope so. Let's see if it works. It might be better to take a crochet hook for that. Oh no, you see I've split it. Let's try again. Something like that. Like this, and pull the thread. For example, does it change the pattern much? Well, not really. Not really. We could pick 1 more stitch in here. Then we'll pick the 3 stitches here. It's quite easy. And pick 1 or 2 in here. Then what we need to do is to keep on purling for about, well, in my case it's about 1 centimeter, maybe a little bit more. Then 7 rounds of ribbon, and again we cast off using a needle, and then the mittens will be done.